Shalom. All praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Harakakadash, double honors to the apostles and elders, great millstone that rule well, and shalom to the brothers through the way considering truth. Shalom. It's kind of meditating on how Jake really, out here, is looking for all forms of salvation from anywhere but, the actual source you can get from. And it's mainly based on how in this current society they're not Israelites, they've basically become like blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans. They've had a basically new identity put on them, and then tied to that is they're integrated within Esau society, Esau system, which then results in them not being able to realistically interact with with trying to get any form of salvation. Because what most of these Jake are really after is some form of peace within this society. But then Micah 2:10 says it. This place is not our rest, and as such, it's like the means to to achieve that so-called peace doesn't exist. By starting this, Amos 3, it says, "Can two walk together except they be agreed?" And that's kind of the core of it, with how Jake's been set up, and the role Jake has to play on the planet Earth. Like, we're not going to be in accord, we're not going to be in agreement with any of the other nations. We're essentially going to be, separate, wholly from these different nations. And then, the way we're going to function, the way we're going to operate is going to be completely at odds with how these nations operate. And then that's gonna cause, discord, disharmony with them. Whereas, the spirit of this place now currently is everyone, becoming one. And that's why it's like all these, these people will, especially come to the Western world, they might have different forms of belief, like different place of origin, but then they'll all basically come under that mindset of just becoming Babylonians. They'll operate like Babylonians. They'll all be in accord, in the same mindset, regardless of the background. They might say, I'm worshipping this, you're worshipping this. But then in reality, they're all, coming together as one. But then, as an Israelite, when you know your identity, there's no way you can just blend in with people and be at one with them, and that's gonna become like a point of contention. Says this, Jeremiah 17:4, "And thou even thyself shalt discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee, and I'll cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not, for ye have kindled a fire in mine anger, which shall burn forever." And yet, Jake basically discontinuing from their heritage, separating from knowing who you were previously, knowing you were Israelite, and all that comes with it. Because a big part of that is the blessings and the curses. And that's knowing the origin of the curses is necessary to being able to, to overcome them, essentially with the means that's been given through Yahushua. And then even having an understanding to then know, like, oh, okay, so it's because of X, Y, Z, that's why all these issues have arose. Because everyone's kind of, they can diagnose that there are problems, but then they don't have solutions, or they might think they have solutions, but lo and behold, it's 2024. Why are the problems still there? Like, everyone's done. Every nation on earth is done diagnosed. Like, oh, the state that Jake's in, the issues that is within the so-called black community, let's say. But then what? That's being discontinued. You can't get to the root of the cause. because it really comes down to this. I'll start on verse 15. So Deuteronomy 28:15, it says, "And it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord Yahweh thy power, to observe and to do all his commandments, and his statutes which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee." And yeah, that's the core of it. All those curses have basically been set to overcome you if you're not keeping the law correct. And by and large, like, no Jake out here is doing that. They're indulging in the complete inverse. They're indulging in the opposite, which results in, confusion, destruction upon them. And then skip down to verse 54. It says, "So that a man is tender among you and very delicate, his eye shall be evil towards his brother, and toward the wife of his bosom, and toward the remnant of his children, which he shall leave." And I was meditating on this because there's a video like a Jake did going over a murder that happened where you basically had like three young Jakes. I think one was 21, two were 18, and then they assassinated another Jake. Basically, and he was basically going into how, Jake, a lot of them, they will not come from the hood or the thug background, but then they'll still wanna, latch onto that lifestyle, indulge in it, because within black culture it's something respectable. Why? So it gets you respect, amongst people of that ilk. So you can behave like, like a grimy, low down, degenerate murderer, and then you receive, benefits within black culture. And that's a big aspect of, ignorance is respected, which is completely at odds with being an Israelite. Being an Israelite is about wisdom, it's about knowledge, it's about understanding. It's not about being prideful or wrathful, which, all those things that's the mindset and the lifestyle that's been given onto Jake, by the so-called white man, which then just results in, them maintaining that destroyed state. Because they're thinking, oh, there's something within that can be to their benefit. But what's the reality of it? The reality of it is death and destruction. And it stays as such. And then that results in, you already got the curses on a man to look at his brother and his family and whatnot. That's why you have like the deadbeat dads, as they say. You have, Jake on Jake crime and violence and whatnot. Disrespectful of parents, you got kids completely rebelling, going out like 12, 13 and just being murderers and degenerates and whatnot. Like Jake is completely and totally destroyed. It's lies and the curses. Because what Hosea 4:1, it says, "Hear the word of the Lord Yahweh, you children of Israel. For the Lord Yahweh hath a controversy with the inhabitants of the land, because there's no truth, no mercy, nor knowledge of the Most High in the land." And yeah, that's a huge aspect of how Jacob, and that's the thing, is it's not the first time these things have happened time and again, where you have Jake go into that state where they're completely disconnected from their power. They've got no understanding of, of who they should be worshipping, the laws they should be following. They wander into the way of the heathen and then get jacked up because of it. And the heathen are aware of it and capitalize over these things. But now Jake is out here thinking they have no enemies. They're out here just thinking like, oh, we're all just, people on the planet Earth. But then really they're just trying to be citizens of Babylon. Which is why it's and within that, only lies death. Because why? What's everyone that joins hand in hand with Babylon, they're going to be destroyed, man. Everyone that puts their faith in Esau is gonna, find out he's not that guy. By swearing and lying and killing and stealing and committing adultery, they break out, and blood toucheth blood. So yeah, trespassing on all the commandments that were given, doing all forms of death, destruction, confusion unto themselves and unto others, which then results in what? Judgments, man. Those curses. And staying in that cursed state. But in this Romans 11:1, it says, I say then, have the Most High cast away his people? The Most High forbid. For I also am an Israelite of the seed of Abraham, of the tribe of Benjamin. The Most High have not cast away his people, which he foreknew. What ye not? And that's kind of the core of it. Jacob in that defiled, destroyed state. But then even then, when there was Jake out there, there was sparse, nigh non-existent Jake that even knew they were Israelites, or were following after the law. In previous times, the Lord didn't cast them out, and then even for this time now, there's a purpose to it. There had to be that falling away, and the man of sin revealed, for the end, before the end can come. So Jake having that complete falling away, that discontinuing from their heritage, was necessary. Which is why it's like, you have like, but blah, blah, blah. They'll come against like, and the Israelites did it. I'm like, well, where, if you're talking about the guys in the land now, where the other tribes at? And even then it's like, where's the fulfillment of the prophecies? That's really the core of it. Because when you apply it to, so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native American Indians, chiefly, and then, those scattered, you got the Israelite foreigners, the prophecies apply. But then, outside of that, then you go to these guys in the land now, not a single prophecy is being fulfilled. They're there dealing with democracy. They're out there, voting in prime ministers. Meanwhile, it's meant to be, the line of David. So why go on for that? The people which he foreknew, what ye not, what the scripture saith of Elias, how he maketh intercession to the Most High against Israel, saying, Lord, they have killed thy prophets, and dig down thine altars, and I am left alone, and they seek my life. But what saith the answer of the Most High unto him? I have reserved to myself 7,000 men, who have not bowed the knee to the image of Baal. And yeah, there was always that reserved elect number, from the jump, from before, Israel was even made, from before the world was made, there was always that elect number. And then, even now in the time of the end, where by and large Jake don't even know that Jake out here, even then, there's still that elect number that's been preserved. 7,000 complete number. Even so, then, at this present time, also, there's a remnant according to the election of grace. And if by grace, then it is no more of works. Otherwise, grace is no more grace. But if it be of works, then is it no more grace. Otherwise, work is no more work. So yeah, it's not just by works, but grace. And that obviously doesn't mean that then, we're going to put in no works. You're not going to keep the laws. You're just going to live like a heathen. And then, receive the reward at the end. You got somewhere it might be the 11th hour, but even then it's about repenting. It could be right at the end, but then you're still going to have to repent. But then, yeah, that the grace comes in as well, because going through the laws, that's what tangled up Jake in the first place. It says, what then? Israel hath not obtained that which he seeketh for, but the election have obtained it, and the rest were blinded. So yeah, it was only the elect that are going to be able to get, and the rest were blinded. And that's a key part. Those that are basically trying to, because you can be in the world trying to just interact. That's how brothers were in the world, just being a regular Joe Schmo, But then you're gonna, as soon as you get woken up to this thing, as soon as you get tapped in, you realize like, yo, there ain't nothing to be found in there, man. There's no benefit to functioning. And then even like prior things that happen in life, you're then gonna look at and be like, oh, okay, now I kind of understand why things went down how they were. It's because the curses were there. Finish on this, Acts 5:34. It says, then stood there up one in the council, a Pharisee named Gamaliel, a doctor of the law, and in reputation among all the people, and commanded to put the apostles forth a little space, and said unto them. So this is when, they'll the wicked scribes and Pharisees were looking to put the apostles to death because they got cut to the heart. And then and he said unto them, ye men of Israel, take heed to yourselves what ye intend to do as touching these men. For before these days rose up Theudas, boasting himself to be somebody, to whom a number of men, about 400, joined themselves, who was slain, and all as many as obeyed him were scattered and brought to naught. So he had, a guy raise up in his own might and gather some people under him, but then it was in vain because it didn't achieve anything. And they were all put to death. It says, and after this man rose up Judas of Galilee in the days of the taxing, and drew away much people after him. He also perished, and all, even as many as obeyed him, were dispersed. And now I say unto you, refrain from these men, and let them alone. For if this counsel or this work be of men, it will come to naught. And that's the key difference. When Judas was of Galilee was raised up, he was doing it under his own name, and trying to accomplish something that was going against the spirit. You're trying to bring down the Romans before it was their time. And that's how it is with anything. If it's being done in the name of men, then it's not going to achieve anything. But then what's it saying? I say unto you now, refrain from these men and let them alone. For if this counsel or this work be of men, it will come to naught. But if it be of the Most High, you cannot overthrow it, lest haply you be found even to fight against the Most High. And yeah, if it's of the Most High, then it can't be overthrown. And that's really the core of what it is. With these curses, with the state jakes and all these different aspects, it then comes down to the spirit with the elect. It's the spirit. The Lord basically had it set up, and that's why faith's required. With the that black identity trying to raise up under that, that's something of this world, and that's something the Most High is not with. You go through the scriptures, it don't say, the black people are going to be saved. It's talking about the elect. It's talking about of the 12 tribes. So yeah, I'll leave it there. Shalom. Shalom.